Hello, everybody. It is 5 p.m. on May 19th, 2021. Thank you for joining us. We will be waiting approximately 5 minutes for more people to join us, and then we'll be starting this community update meeting. So thank you for your patience.
Sam, are you going to be recording the webinar? You need to mention that you're going to be recording the webinar.
Yes, the webinar will be recorded.
Okay, good.
Yes. All right. The time is 5:05 p.m. We'll be starting our presentation now. Good evening, and thank you all for coming tonight. I'd like to welcome you to LADOT's May 19th, 2021 Community Update Meeting for the Expo 2 Bike Path Northvale Segment Gap Closure Project. My name is Samuel Garcia. I'll be your host for tonight. I am the project manager for the Northvale Gap Closure Project with the Los Angeles Department of Transportation. I'd first like to begin with a little bit of housekeeping. We have a number of panelists here tonight from LADOT, who is a project owner of this bike path, Los Angeles Bureau of Engineering, BOE, the project designer, and Los Angeles 5th District City Council office. For this meeting, only the speaker will be unmuted. If you have any questions, please submit them to the question box in Zoom. And at the end of the presentation, we will have a 20-minute session for answering those questions. If those questions are not answered or you have additional questions after the presentation, I invite you to send your questions to the LADOT email that will be posted at the end of the presentation. During this hour-long presentation, I'd like to cover these points of the agenda. First, I would welcome our City Council district to give a brief welcome. Second, we'll have the project overview and significance from LADOT. Afterwards, the project description as well as updates and features will be discussed. Then access points along the bike path. Next, we'll be hearing from an update from our real estate team and provide you, the community, with a timeline of project deliveries. And finally, at the end of this presentation, we'll be answering your questions. At this time, I would like to welcome to the floor City Council District 5, West Deputy Office, Chief Field and Transportation Deputy, Jay Greenstein, to say a few words to open this community meeting.
Thank you, Samuel. On behalf of Councilmember Koretz, I want to welcome everyone this afternoon. Some of you have joined us at past meetings on this project at the Palms Library. I regret that we can't meet again like that in person. This Zoom meeting will have to suffice for now. We wish that we could move this project along more quickly, but there have been a number of challenges, including staff from the Department of Transportation and the Bureau of Engineering, who are busy with many other projects. I'm now going to turn the meeting over to our staff for the Department of Transportation and the Bureau of Engineering, and I'll be here watching, and if I can assist them in any way in answering any questions after the presentation. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Jay. I would now like to introduce LADOT Principal Transportation Engineer of Capital Projects, Carlos Rio, to speak about the Northvale Gap Closure Project. We'll be beginning with the project background.
Thank you, Sam. Thank you, Jay. Welcome, community members. As Sam has articulated, my name is Carlos Rios, and I am the Principal Transportation Engineer with LADOT. I manage both active transportation and the Vision Zero divisions of our department. I'm here to give you some general background and just a high-level description of the project. My colleague, Michael Haddadin of the Bureau of Engineering, will provide more specific details later in the presentation. So what you see in the screen here is basically just a little snapshot of the project area. What we're presenting today to you is what we refer to as the Expo Northvale Gap Closure. This is the last phase of a multi-phase project that is basically creating an active transportation network that ultimately will connect Exposition Park all the way to Santa Monica. This last phase of the project is funded partially by Metro through their biannual call for projects, And over the last few years, we have been proactively working with the support of council office on identifying all the necessary funds to complete the project. This specific segment of the project proposes to essentially construct a new bikeway north of the I-10 freeway between Motor and Overland. Specifically, the project will consist of 1/3 mile of a Class 1 bike path north of the I-10 freeway from Motor to Dunleer. This part of the project is within Caltrans right-of-way and city sewer easements in the existing private properties. The goal and overall objective of this project is, once it's completed, we will be able to provide a continuous bike facility along the Metro Expo line from Venice Boulevard, Robertson Connection in Culver City, all the way to Centinela, which is the city of Santa Monica boundary. Again, this is a certain phase of the project because the overall bicycle network that we're hoping to achieve and close a gap closure on essentially will provide a facility for active transportation, essentially taking anybody from the Vermont Avenue and the Expo Park area all the way through and continuing through the city of Santa Monica. So the overall, again, objective here of the project, as I repeat, is just to create an active transportation facility that once completed will essentially be able to offer a pathway from Expo Park all the way to the west side into Santa Monica. Next slide, Sam, please. This here kind of gives you a little general description of what it is that we're building. The segment in yellow is kind of what we're here to discuss today. That's kind of that last vital gap closure that we've been talking about. The segment in green to the left of the screen and red and green to the right are our existing facilities. The yellow portion that you see here in the middle is essentially can be broken up into essentially two phases within this phase. One is the phase that's going to be at grade at street level, which is the heavy dash line, and the dash line to the right is essentially the type 1 bicycle path that is going to be constructed again as part of this project to create an overall bicycle facility for all users. With that being said, I'd like to hand the mic over now to my colleague, Michael Hadadin, to go over some more specific details on the specifics of the project.
Next slide, Sam. Yeah, good evening, everyone, and thank you for coming here to the webinar. We had, as my colleague said, that we had 2 community meetings previously, and we got feedback from the community, from the Shabbat Hill communities, which is your community, and your participation. And we took all the requests from the community and the bike users, and we added them into the design. So we upgraded the facility from the last time we explained how we're going to be designing the facility. As we said earlier, the 2 segments are from Motor Avenue, which is segment number 1, from Motor Avenue all the way to 400 feet east of Dunleer Drive. That's what we call segment 1. It is off the street, and it will be designed as a Class 1 bike facility. The design segment stretch is almost 0.35 miles, and it is upgraded to a Class 1 bike facility. That means it is off the street, and it is it is a facility that it will be classified as a multi-use. A multi-use, that means we're going to have bike lanes that's going east and bike lanes that's going west. Each one of them is going to be, each bike lane is going to be 5 foot. And we're going to add to it another 4-foot pedestrian path next to it. So that was an add-on, because most of the people, they say, hey, if I have a stroller, if a lady with a strollers and the baby and want to walk in the facility, can you accommodate us? So we added the 4-foot pedestrian path next to the bike lanes. And then after that, we're gonna put a 3-foot utility space to enhance the bike facility. We're gonna enhance it with a lighting that will illuminate the whole path and the pedestrian path. And then we're gonna have a buffer of 2 feet curb and gutter to kind of like contain the facility. And after that, we're gonna erect a wrought iron fence that will serve as a security fence that will be set 2 feet away from the facility in total, or the travel lanes and the pedestrian path. That's segment number 1. And then segment number 2, which the bike facility will climb up to the street level, and it will be constructed on the street level, and it will be from 400 feet east of Dunleer Drive, which is the startup from Northvale Street, and it's going to be going west, and it will be another 0.35 miles, and it will reach out to Putney Road. And the existing facility of Metro from Putney Road to Overland, there's an existing bike facility, and we're going to be connecting it to it. This facility on the street will be only a bike path that would be a class 1 again. Previously, we had it at the same level at the street, and it was a class 2. Now we upgraded the design to a class 1 bike facility, which is a separation from the vehicular traffic at the street level. And the separation will be serving a purpose, a safety purpose first, and second thing, it will be protected for the bikers. Each lane is going to be 4-foot lane, so the total bike path, the separation from the Northvale Road, it will be 8-foot bike path, and it will be protected by a buffer 3 feet, which is a curb and gutter at different elevation. And add to it as another safety, we're going to put a cable railing fence that will be constructed between a bollard. That will be either a concrete or a wood bollards. We did not decide yet, but the cable railing will separate the bike facility from the vehicular traffic. Next slide, please. This is a rendering. If you look at the right side, this is the rendering that it will show the facility from Motor Avenue all the way to 400 feet east of Dunleer, which is segment 1. As the rendering see on the right, you're going to see the wrought iron fence at the north of the facility, and then the utility facility where we're going to put the bike lights, the enhancement of the bike facility, the illumination, and you can see that the pole erected at within the 3 feet within the 3 feet easement space. And then the pedestrians will be 4 feet. And then after that, as I mentioned before, there will be bike path going east directions, and bike path is going to be going west direction. Each one of them is going to be 5 feet. And then there's going to be a buffer between the bikers and between the bulkhead wall that will be at least 2 feet. That's the standard. Then the bikers will feel safe to bike on the bike facility with a buffer from the first obstacle, which is the bulkhead wall at the south of the facility. As you see the hillside here, this is from Motor Avenue, just shy away a little bit from Northvale, where the train will daylight. The facility will be bordering Caltrans property on the south side. After the train will daylight, the facility will be bordering Metro side. Looking at the cross sections, if you can go back to please go back to the other side. Let us look at the typical cross sections here. Then the people will, if you can zoom in the typical cross section, Sam, please. Yeah. Yeah, this is in general what's a typical cross sections that will be bordering the homeowner's properties. As if I go from the left to the right, the left is the south portion of the facility. As you see, this is the retaining wall. Some portions, Caltrans already have an existing retaining wall, and some portions we will be building a bulkhead wall next to Caltrans wall, spanning from Motor Avenue at the bridge side all the way um, to Caltrans' existing retaining wall. There will be a buffer between the first obstacle, which is a retaining wall, to the facility will be 2 feet minimum standard. Then the curb and gutter 2 feet, and each lane, as you see, 5 feet and 5 feet each bike path. And then the pedestrian path will be 4 foot, and the utility corridor or utility space will be 3 feet. And then to contain the facility, you're going to have a curb and gutter here as a concrete for a drainage purposes. And then we're going to erect the wrought iron fence 2 feet away from the curb and gutter. As we got feedback from the community, we pushed the bike facility all the way toward the hillsides in a way that to give them privacy and give them enough buffer. As you see, the property line that we are negotiating right now is sitting all the way to the east at almost like 38 feet away from the property owner's existing walls. Um, that's it for the slide. Next one, please. Yeah, this is the wrought iron fence. You know, getting feedback from the community. They like this rendering for the wrought iron fence, which will be a 10-foot high with arrowhead spears pointing toward the bike path. And most of the people they like this wrought iron fence that we'll be negotiating with. And this is a rendering that will show exactly how the facility will look like. On the left side here, the rendering again, you can see the pedestrian path and the bikers and the retaining wall and the hillsides, and with the wrought iron. The wrought iron fence will start from Motor Avenue, from Motor Alley, all the way to the Northvale street level, which is 400 feet shy away from Dunley Road. So all the homeowners will have the same wrought iron fence that will be 10 foot, and it will be a security fence that will be on the north side of the facility, beside the buffer between their retaining walls or garden walls or whatever you can whatever they have at that side. It will be a big buffers between their property and between the wrought iron fence that we are building next to the facility. We push the bike facility for the community, you know, as much as we can toward the slope, in a way that we can contain the facility before we get to the slope, and doing any excavation that will exceed 2-to-1 slope. And the retaining wall will help us out to push the retaining wall all the way to the slope. Yeah, thank you. Next one. This is a cross section again at the segment number 2, which is a street level. If you look at the rendering, there will be 2 lanes for vehicular traffics will be maintained, and the parking on the north side will be maintained, and the sidewalk is a pristine sidewalk. It will be the same. We are not touching the sidewalk or the parking on the north side, and the vehicular traffic will be maintained the same way. And then the facility, we're gonna have a buffer 3 feet, and it's gonna be a different elevation, different level. That's why we call it class 1. That will be protected, as I mentioned, with the cable railing and the bollards, and the curb and gutters here that will give a great separation between the vehicular traffic and between the bike facility. And each bike path, it will be 4 foot here. And then to the left, you're gonna see the retaining wall that will be bordering a metro right away. It will span from like 3 to 4 feet all the way to 10 feet. And there will be a buffer at least 2 feet from first obstacle, then the bikers will feel comfortable biking on the bike facility. That's it. Can we go to the next one? Yeah, this is the access point. Previously, in the previous 2 community meetings, we asked the community where do they want to join the bike facility, at what point they need to access, and we decide after getting feedback from them, there will be 3 access points at segment number 1, which the first one will be at Motor Avenue. That's the first one where we can join. Then the second one, it will be at Walla Vista Road. And the third one, it will be at the street level at Northvale Road. That's segment number 1. And this is next to the 10 freeway. Yeah, can you go to the next slide, please, Sam? The segment number 2, again, is gonna have 3 access points. The first one is gonna be at the pedestrian bridge. It's gonna be an access road at Dunley Road. And we're gonna provide handicap access ramp on the east side and on the south side, I'm sorry, and the north side of the street. Then the bike, then the access to the pedestrian bridge will be maintained at Dunley Road. Second one will be at Bradbury Road. And the third one, it will be at Putney Road, which is the end of the bike facility. So you will have 3 access at segment number 1 and 3 access points at segment number 2. That mainly will conclude, my presentation. It's just in general here. This is the crossing on Motor Avenue. You want to cover it, Sam, or you want me to cover it?
Yes, I can.
Go ahead,
Thank you.
Sam.
All right, thank you very much, Michael. The Motor Avenue crossing is one limit of this project and is a very important access point for both pedestrians and bicyclists who wish to access the bike path. This access point connects the bike path with our on-street bike lane network on Motor Avenue. To accommodate the users of the bike path safely, we are planning to install a traffic signal and crosswalk at the intersection of the Julia Ansinger Therapeutic School and Motor Avenue. The traffic signal will be placed north of the I-10 overpass to protect bicyclists and pedestrians from northbound traffic, as well as vehicles turning left from the Ansinger Therapeutic School driveway, or as it is also known as the Vista Del Mar driveway. Curve extensions are also planned at the crosswalk to reduce the time it takes to cross the street and to improve visibility for those who want to cross the street. In the last community update meeting, a parking analysis was conducted and it determined that it would be limited impact on the parking at Motor Avenue. This concludes the slide for our Motor Avenue access point. I would now like to introduce BOE, Department of Public Works, Public Works, Chief Real Estate Officer 2, Uriel Jimenez, to give an update on the real estate work along the bike path.
Greetings, everybody, and thank you for joining us to this community meeting. Udi Jimenez, Bureau of Engineering, Real Estate Division. And we were tasked, my team and I were tasked with acquiring a portion of 13 private properties. We added an already acquired city-owned property to the project, and we're negotiating with Metro and Caltrans to acquire additional property that is needed for the project. One of the things that I'd like to point to particularly here, the bike path is being designed in such a way to create the greatest public benefit while causing the least private harm in such a way that it's being constructed as far away from the houses which are to the north as possible. There's a lot of moving parts. There's the challenging uh, topography at both ends of the project. The middle section of the project is relatively level, and we're able to move it further south. And whenever possible, we moved it as far south as possible. Um, and we anticipate having all the property to meet the schedule, which will be discussed shortly. Um, and we've negotiated with some of the owners and acquired the property already. Some of the properties have yet to be acquired by the city. And if needed, the city will exercise its right of eminent domain. And we anticipate having the city council hear that resolution of necessity before the summer recess, which is July 4th. And that concludes my presentation, and I'll turn it back to Sam.
Thank you very much, Yuri. At this time, I would like to welcome back Michael Haddadine to discuss the project schedule and project delivery. Michael, you're muted.
I'm sorry. Yeah. 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 Hello, everyone. Again, the delivery of this project. This is the timeline that most of you will ask. How come it takes so long to design and to construct the facility? It's just the merit of public work projects. It takes time to fund the projects, and it takes time to negotiate in a good faith, as our chief real estate mentioned, that we need to negotiate with the homeowners in a good faith in a way to get the right of way for the projects. So we are expecting that the design, it will be substantially completed in September. And then we have to refine the design with the capping of the right of way and all the utilities, and refining some of the features of the design by the end of this calendar year, by December. And we are hoping that the right of way will be settled, and all the remaining acquisitions, it will be acquired by the end of the year. So both of them, they will coincide, the right of ways and the end of the design phase. It will coincide by the end of this calendar year. Bidding and advertisement to secure a contractor to construct a facility, usually it takes 6 months between the time we advertise and then we award the contract and we secure, because it's a federally funded, secure approval from Metro to be able to start the construction phase. We anticipate that it will be mid-year, mid-calendar year, by June, July of 2022, next year. The award of the contract by Public Work, it will take probably a couple of months till August. And we are anticipating that the construction of this facility will take 3 years for segment 1 and segment 2 together. It's going to take a little bit time because of so many features, and the design a little bit complicated with the retaining walls, and trying to maintain the trees as much as we can, and keep the green buffers on the south side for the homeowners at the street level, and securing some of the properties from Caltrans and from Metro. Hopefully by the end of the 3 years, it will the projects will be put to use, and it will be ready for the bikers and the community in total to use the facility. So hopefully we will finish earlier, but we set like 3 years for the constructions as a cushion for any anticipated construction issues that we do not foresee for now. With that, I will conclude the delivery of this project, the design and the construction and securing the right of way of the project. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Michael. At this time, we'd now like to open the floor for questions. We have a 20-minute slot, and Janelle Para from BOE will be leading the questions. If you have any additional questions that you would like to ask after this meeting, please email us at ladot.active@lacity.org. For information and updates, you can visit our website at ladot.livablepstreets.org. Thank you very much. We'll be with you on your questions.
Samuel, I'd like to take on the first question and then turn it over to you guys.
Yes,
There's
you
a question from Caleb about Councilmember Koretz, and I want to be absolutely clear on this. Councilmember Koretz is in complete support of this project. We've been nothing but encouraging the Bureau of Engineering and the Department of Transportation to do whatever they need to do to secure the funding, to complete the design, and to get into construction as soon as they're able to. We're committed to making sure that we have a project that not only the cyclists in the neighborhood or biking through this area have a good and safe facility, but something that the neighbors and the adjacent neighbors and the people who live in the area will be proud of and feel that it will be a positive contribution to the community. So I want to be absolutely clear on that. And that's the role we will continue to play as long as Councilmember Koretz remains on the council for the next 18 months. Thank you.
Thank you, Jay. And we have a few questions about how do I provide my comments or public comments and support to this project. Like what Sam said, you may email your support or any additional comments at ladot.active@lacity.org. And that email is shown on screen. I have a question here from Annette, and her question is, in the segment 1 rendering, it appears that the bikes pass each other on the left, contrary to standard US road drive on the right. And she's hoping that this is a mistake. Any comments on that?
Yeah, I'll take this one here. You know, the rendering, it was done by an architect, and we usually have the first lane that's going west direction, westerly. It should be the northerly one to the right, and then next to it, the one to the left. That's the way it's supposed to be. And it looks like the cover sheet that we are posting here is show it right.
Our
So
next question, go ahead, Michael.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, she's right. The westward, the west direction should be to the right, and the one to the left should be the east directions, yes.
Thank you, Michael. Our next question is, will there be access from Walla Vista Road and also from Motor Avenue Alley?
It will not be from the alley, but it will be from Walla Vista. The alley does not have an access, but from Walla Vista, we're gonna have an access point. As I said, we're gonna have 3 access points in segment 1. One at Motor Avenue, not the alley, Motor Avenue. Where we have the crossing, that's the place where you're gonna join the bike facility, and one at Walla Vista, and one at the street level at Northvale Road. Those are the 3 access points only. And these are the choices that the community in total, they vote for it and they put their dot. If some of you guys will remember, most of the dots came into those 3 places in segment 1. And segment 2, as I mentioned, Bradbury and Putney and at Dunleer, where the pedestrian bridge access.
And this is related to that, Michael. Someone asked, why isn't there an access at Cheviot Drive? It would be every other street if one was added there.
You know, it's the community choice. We thought that 6 access points should be enough. So, you know, because, you know, I mean, the neighbors, they voted and they voiced their all the Shaviat Hills, you know, neighborhood. Most of them, they voted for those 6 access points, and they're close to each other's. You could join at Walla Vista, you know, I mean, it's very close.
Okay, thank you, Michael. The next question has to do with the Motor Avenue. And I'm going to combine these two questions. It says, how are you handling the existing bike lane on Motor Avenue southbound at the new crosswalk? And will there be a bike turn signal at the motor access point?
Yes, I think Sam mentioned that there will be signalized a push button for the bikers to cross the street from the east side to the west side, as the slide shows, the crossings, it will serve the bikers who are going northbound on Motor Avenue to join the bike facility at the crossings. There will be a push buttons, and there will be a cycle that will allow them to cross the road safely from the east side to the west side, or from west side to the east side. And the vehicular traffic will stop at that time. So we are in the process of designing that signal traffic light, and it will be controlled. There will be a traffic control device that will ease the passage of the pedestrians as well as the bikers from either sides of Motor Avenue. Yes, and there was a slide that Sam explained already.
Has there been consideration of modifying Motor Avenue to better protect all users by physically separating the bike lanes between the path and National? And there is a center turn lane with few to no driveways along the segment, so the right of way has plenty of room. Not sure that's a question.
You know, this is the different segment than our segment. However, as Sam mentioned, you know, we're going to have a bulb out at both sides of Motor Avenue for the bikers to be gathered and to negotiate crossing the Motor Avenue once the traffic signals will allow them to cross. But, you know, the other segment, I am not sure, you know, this is not part of this project. But, you know, we can revisit that questions in the website, and we will look at the segment number 1, which is from USC all the way to our facility. You know, if you post that question in la.active@lacd.org, we will visit that one, and we will look into the segment 1, what we can you know, how we can answer it, because, you know, it's not included in our project. This is outside the segment that we are dealing with today.
You show a hillside on the side opposite the wrought iron fence, and there's no upsloping hillside. The hills drops off precipitously on that side. And I guess this is a follow-up from the same person. Saying your measurements are 23 feet for the bike and pedestrian paths, plus the fence, plus the 38 feet away from the property line for a total of 61 feet. The property owner's property line is about 61 feet, is not 61 feet deep. So how do you come by these measurements?
You know, I can answer it quickly. This is a typical cross sections. You know, this is the cross section that we showed is from Walla Vista going west side, where we have the open land, we have the open space. As we go to the east side, the buffer between the homeowners and the bike facility will narrow. We did not mention it in the typical cross section here, but this as we push the facility as our real estate property manager, Yori mentioned, we after negotiating with the homeowners in a good faith, they ask us to push the facility as much as we can to the hillside. So we push the facility as much as we can to the hillside, and we to be able to do that, we had to build a bulkhead wall even to contain the slope at the south side of the facility and to stay away as much as we can from the homeowners' properties. But as I said, going from Walla Vista, going westward or west directions, we have an open land, and even with the open land, we push the facilities south as much as we can. But from Walla Vista going to Motor Avenue, yes, the land available is constricted, and we will be building tunnel walls. We will be building, I'm sorry, bulkhead walls on both sides to be able to build the facility. So close to the synagogue, we're going to build a bulkhead wall, and towards Caltrans, we're going to build a bulkhead wall, and it will be constricted a little bit, and it will be a short path. It will be like 400 feet. And between Walla Vista and Motor Alley, um, uh, some of the homeowners, they encroach onto the easement, and we're gonna accommodate them in a way that we're not gonna be affecting their property. So we pushed the bike path again away from their encroachment, even into the easement. And I will leave it to Yori, to complete the negotiation with these homeowners. I think he settled with a few of them. I have no idea, the
Thank you,
real estate. Yeah.
Thank you, Michael. I believe this is a question for real estate. If the city is forced to resort to eminent domain for holdout parcels, will that delay the timeline?
This is Udi. No, we don't anticipate that it'll be delayed. We anticipate obtaining possession of the property by the end of the year, which would be consistent with the schedule. Once we acquire all the property, that's when the project will go out to bid and award, and we don't anticipate any additional delays.
Thank you, Rudy. How will you prevent or deal with homeless encampments from cropping up to the path? And there are already encampments across the way and in the park. And how will you provide safety for cyclists and pedestrians on this path, as they will not be visible to anyone when walking or riding on segment 1?
I'm not sure if Carlos want to mention, is still Carlos there? If you like to
Yes.
handle the question. Carlos, you
Yes, I
want to?
am, Michael. Thank you. Thank you, Jennifer, for that question. The overall objective of this project, again, is to create an active transportation system. The goal is, we feel that the design is incorporating lighting element, as Michael has indicated, so we'll be consistent with the rest of the Expo bike path. The facility will be well lit, and we are hopeful that the objective of this project will be met. We will have active use with bikers and walkers and pedestrians and all users along the segment, so that we don't anticipate and we're not planning for any additional homeless encampments, but we will be monitoring it on a regular basis to ensure that doesn't happen. And we'll just work with our PD and our housing facility folks to ensure that we take the proper steps to address those issues if they come. But ideally, the overall objective of this project, again, is to create an active transportation system, a use where it'll be fully utilized by cyclists and all, that will inherently prevent any encampments from rising. But we will monitor and we'll work with our local officials to ensure if it does become a problem, that we'll address it as soon as possible.
Thank you, Carlos. Will the existing Caltrans equipment on the south side of Northvale, east of Overland, be removed to allow for the bike path to be at full width where it meets Overland?
in the design, we joined the metro existing facility, and I don't have a slide, to show where we're going to be joining it, but once you post that questions, we can provide the slide where we're going to be connecting to the existing facility of the metro. In fact, it's not Caltrans, it's a metro facility, a metro right away. And we have designed how to join the facility with the existing metro multi-use facility. Ours is going to be only a two-bike path, and it's going to be joining the multi-use existing facility at Overland, from Putney to Overland. And we already accommodated that design, and we created a space that will allow us to design to join the bike path with a multi-use existing facility that Metro has built already.
Thank you, Michael. Will access between Palms Park and Dunleer/Northvale be maintained during construction?
One more time, can you repeat the question?
Will access between Palms Park and Dunleer/Northvale be maintained during construction?
The vehicle traffic is going to be maintained, yes. And we're going to put some K railings, when we construct the curb and gutters, and we build a buffer that will host the bollards and the cable railing, to build up the facility, which is like 8 feet on the bulkhead wall. We will isolate the traffic by installing K rails. And that times we're going to prepare a worksite traffic control plan to be able to construct the facility and maintain the vehicular traffic going eastward and westward. And it will be when we secure a contractor, one of the delivery that he has to give one of the submitters is how he's going to maintain the vehicular traffic, and at the same time protect all the road users from construction activities on the south side of the street. Yes. So
thank you, Michael. And I think this is the last question we have. If you're taking 11 feet on Northvale between Overland and Dunleer, how will you be able to maintain two-way traffic on Northvale?
Yeah, I mean, as the cross sections, the parking, it will stay in the north, and 2 lanes, each one of them 10 feet or 11 feet, will be maintained, and then the buffer, and then the facility, and we will be excavating a little bit on the hillside, and we will create a space by building a bulkhead wall to contain the slope, and the bulkhead wall, it will be only CIP, which is a cast in place hole that will be dug in the ground at 18 inches diameter. And we're going to install those soldier piles, which is like a steel piles that will be 2/3 in the ground and 1/3 will be sticking up to hold the soil from eroding. We will have a concrete lagging or concrete panels between those soldier piles to maintain the slope. So we will be digging a little bit into the slope by building these bulkhead walls to create enough space. And the plans that we generate already, it shows that we have enough space to maintain 2 vehicular traffics and maintain the parking on the north side, and as well as building the facility, as I said, with the proper dimensions that the slides previously shows, which is 4 feet in every directions and 3 feet buffer and 2 feet to allow the bikers to feel comfortable biking next to the bulkhead wall, because it's an obstacles. The standards, you need 2 feet away from the bike path to the first obstacle, which is the bulkhead wall. So we added the geometry to fit in the facility. Yes.
Michael, I'm sorry to interrupt. Janelle, I want to be mindful of the staff's time, but we still have many more questions. Is there a way that we can stay on, that staff's willing to stay on at least 15 more minutes and get to more, because I'm concerned that we have many more questions that we haven't even touched yet. We won't be able to get to everybody, but please, if you could hang on a little bit longer.
All right. Thank you,
Jay.
Michael. Thank you, Jay.
You're
And
welcome.
Janelle, one moment, Janelle, just real quick clarification on that last question. Thank you, Michael, for that response. But just wanted to clarify to the requesters, even though the facility is 11 feet shown on the cross section, we are only utilizing 8 feet of the roadway. And that's the area that's typically reserved for parking. So we definitely will have the adequate right-of-way width to maintain 2 lanes and parking on the residential side. So we're only utilizing 8 feet of the current roadway. Just wanted to clarify that.
Thank you, Carlos. We have a few questions about the wrought iron fence or fencing. Will the security fence be at all decorated? Looks unfriendly at the moment. And also related to that, will the wrought iron fence start at Walla Vista Road or Motor Avenue?
Yeah, the wrought iron fence will start exactly from Motor Alley, not from Walla Vista. Motor Alley is the intersections just before going east, just before Walla Vista. So the the gap will be closed between a bulkhead wall that will be bordering the synagogue, and once the bulkhead wall ended, we're going to start the wrought iron fence. We're going to close the gap so nobody can trespass. And the wrought iron fence is going to start from, as I said, Motor Alley all the way to the street level at Northvale intersection, which is 300 feet east of Dunleer Road. So
Thank you, Michael.
will be secured completely. Everybody will get a 10-foot wrought iron fence, and this is your choice. If you think if you have different look, you know, I mean, we will listen. You know, just post us, give us like what kind of rendering you want. It's going to be a 10-foot wrought iron fence. As I said before, it was arrowhead that pointed vertically, but some residents, they want it to be pointed, curved toward the bike path. Then it will be difficult to climb up, and it will be an obstacle for somebody to climb up over it. Yeah, if you have another idea, you know, we are here to listen.
Thank you, Michael. There's a few comments in here, and I apologize. We disabled the only way for you to ask questions would be to type in your questions in the Q&A box, unfortunately. Or you can also send your questions through the ladot.active@lacity.org email. I have another question here. It says, the design looks great. What can be done to tighten the construction timeline? 3 years seems extremely long for this.
You know, we try as much as we can to accelerate the constructions, but you know, this is like a planning. So we give ourselves a cushion just in case if there's unforeseen conditions, because even though it's a short path, 0.7 miles with 2 segments, it change because the terrain change. You know, at Motor Avenue, a little bit constricted. Then we have the open land. Then we have to climb up to the street level. Then we have to have the street level, and we have to accommodate the vehicular traffic at the street level. So the contractor is gonna phase it. He's gonna probably start with segment number 1, then segment number 2, and you know, it's up to the contractor to choose what kind of construction methods and construction phasing that he will foresee to be able to build the facility. But this kind of a facility, it will take like 2 to 3 years. So by the time we do the closeout on the punch list, it will be the last year to finish up the striping, the signage, the capping of the facility, to make sure everything is safe and secure for the bike users, for the pedestrians, for the vehicular traffic, for everyone. And the wrought iron fence, the security fence will be erected, and the solar lightings that will enhance the facility with the proper illuminations. All those features, it takes time to to deliver them and to construct them per the standards and per the state of the art to build a facility with a class one as we explained before. But it takes 2 to 3 years to build such a facility.
Thank you, Michael. Is there a bike path that goes south on Motor and then east on National to the bike path restart at National Palms Exposition?
As I said, this is outside our project, but maybe Department of Transportation can shed light more on how the bike network facility will be joining our facility. I have no idea about the segment one.
Michael, let's let DOT answer that question.
Yes, DOT, post the questions and DOT will answer it later on. Or if they have the answer now, I'm not sure, because this is not our project.
Does Carlos want to answer? I mean, I know I can't. Or Sam?
Hi, yes. So since this is outside of the current project scope, please go ahead and send your question to ladot.active@lacity.org, and I'll be happy to reply back to you with the information you're looking for. Thank you for your question.
Thank you. Thank you, Sam. The segment between Putney and Dunleer is adjacent to the street, yet the fencing cuts off access to the community for the community. Community members would have to cycle along Northvale without any cycle facility to reach an access point. Why designed to exclude the community?
We had 3 access points. We had one at Northvale, the street level. We have one at Bradbury. We have one at Putney Road, and we have one at Dunleer. We have like 4 access points at the street level. So the community, they can get in. The cable and the bollard, it's to protect the facility, from the vehicular traffic. And this is the community request at that time. They said, how are we going to protect us? A safety reason, to isolate the bike facility from the vehicular traffic at Northvale. But as I said, like you have 4 access points at the street level. That should be enough for like a 0.35 miles. And that's very short distance for a biker.
Thank you, Michael. How hilly is the westernmost stretch of section 2?
How's what? One more time.
How hilly is the westernmost stretch of section 2?
The hillside. I mean, I'm not sure. Do they mean the
I
hillside?
guess
From the
maybe
south?
the elevation, yes.
Yeah, Michael, it is, Northville kind of rolls up and down in elevation.
Yes.
But maybe you can explain how you're dealing with those hills when it comes to the bike facility on the street level.
Yeah. Okay. 300 feet east of Dunleer, the hill is going down. So we're going to put bulkhead wall and we're going to put cable railing next to the hillside. So there's going to be cable railings on the north side and on the south side. And the bulkhead wall is going to contain the hillside going down. Not hillside, I'm sorry, the downslope from Dunleer, 300 feet east of Dunleer, all the way to Dunleer. It's downward the slope. As the hill is climbing up, as the slide shows, the bulkhead wall is gonna be from like 4 feet and it's gonna be as high as like 10 feet. And we're gonna build a bulkhead wall, as I said, it's gonna be soldier piles and concrete lagging panels in between them to contain that slope. So it's gonna be between like 4 feet, the lowest, and the highest is gonna be like 10 feet in the middle of the section. And then it's gonna be flattened up as we approach Putney toward the overland. So it's going to be as high as 10 feet and as low as 4 feet. And toward the slope downward, we're going to put a bulkhead wall to contain the facility in a way it will not erode. So we're going to contain the facility with a bulkhead wall that will be driven in the slope.
I guess I think you answered this question about not having access point at Cheviot Drive. this person wanted to make sure that this is accessible 24/7 since the expo line bike path is open 24/7, and this gap would need to be. And also, you'd like to know more about the plans on motor. People need to be protected between this path termination and expo path at the pump station. Are you going to protect those existing bike lanes and build a protected cycle track between the path and existing path?
Yeah, this is outside my project. I know segment one, again, you can post that question.
Carlos, would you like to answer that?
I'm sorry, I was having technical difficulties earlier. So the concentration of this effort is the actual Expo Northville segment, but we will be looking at all of the neighboring bike networks surrounding this particular segment. And we will be looking at the existing infrastructure and looking for ways to upgrade where possible. So yeah, so we are in tandem looking at opportunities to upgrade all the existing facilities.
Thank you, Carlos. Why are bollards and cable rail proposed along segment 2 instead of open as it is along Exposition Boulevard east of Centinela? Segments that are enclosed on both sides, such as west of Venice Boulevard, are a bit scary, especially at night without option for escape.
You know, this is the community. They ask us, they need the cable railing and the bollard for protection. You know, I mean, we will visit that questions one more time. But we thought, like, you know, I mean, many facilities that they are built in Orange County here that we copy is the bollards and the cable railing, you know, will be mounted in the buffer zone, as you see in the cover sheet here to everyone, where the curb and gutter and the buffer like 3 feet. And there should be a distance between the vehicular traffic and between the bike facility. To be a class 1, it should be 3 feet. So the buffer 3 feet and the curb and gutter 5 feet almost will be the separation between the facility, the bike facility, and the vehicular traffic. The bollard, I thought that it will be more safety for everyone. But if the community in total does not want the bollards, then we can revisit that one. You can post the questions and let us see the feedback. But many facilities are built this way here in a way that it will be a bollard and a cable railing, then it will be a class 1 protected facility. That's the standard.
Thank you, Michael. This person needed a much better understanding of the fence and buffer zone on the other side of the fence bordering the preschool and Motor Avenue. Is there a fence along Motor Avenue to keep security in place to stop people from walking into or living in the buffer?
This is a Chabad facility at Motor Avenue, Michael. But maybe we have to have a separate conversation about that.
Yeah, we're going to be negotiating with the synagogue facility. I think I'm going to leave it to Yori. You know, he left the messages and he was not able to reach out to them. But, you know, previously they requested they need a bulkhead wall that would be 10 feet high to secure their property. And it's already put in the plans, but, you know, we did not display it here because we did not reach out to them to reach an agreement. So as a courtesy, we postponed that segment by the synagogue, the north side of the facility, how we're going to secure their property until we reach out to them. But their request is already in our mind. We are planning to build a 10-foot bulkhead wall to secure their hillside and secure their property. From the floor plan of the bike facility to the top of the bulkhead wall will be 10 feet. Nobody can climb up. So that should secure their property. But as I said, it will be at later on discussion.
Michael, this is Udi. Can I add something, please?
Please, yeah, please go ahead.
Yes, we've met with Rabbi Aaron and we understand that security is very important. And we will continue to have that conversation to make sure that the children, the preschool and the facility is well protected. So we've had that conversation, as Michael said, it's been in our mind as part of the design. and we will continue to speak directly with the Chabad and continue this conversation. We're happy to discuss it further if you have any more questions. But the buffer is really not much of a buffer at that area. I think that when we talk about buffers generally, what Michael was talking about, there's going to be a 5-foot bikeway, a 5-foot bikeway, and then a 4-foot walkway, an area for utility. And when we talk about buffer, it's the distance between the fence and the walkway, basically, which is 2 feet. And it's different at this area, at this location near Motor, because it's pretty steep on the opposite side where the Caltrans property is, and it's pretty steep on the north side. So the bike path will look different because it's pinched in because of the topography, but there won't be a gap. And for sure, there will be no ready access onto private property anywhere along the bike path. And I hope that helps. Thank you.
Janelle, what you may want to do is explain for those questions we don't get to, and for there's questions about answering about access to the slides that were presented, and for any further questions or comments, let's make sure that everybody knows how they can do that after this evening. And if a recording of the meeting will be available at that website. Samuel, you want to do that real quick? And then if Janelle, you want to just read like 5 questions together, and then we should end.
Okay. Sam, do you want to provide where the video of this will be posted? You're muted, Sam.
You're muted, Sam.
Thank you very much. A recording of this meeting will be posted on YouTube, and a link will be available at our LADOT livablestreets.org to rewatch this presentation. Again, if you have any questions that don't get answered during this meeting, please send it to our LADOT.active email address. I'll be happy to answer them. Thank you very much. Hand it back to you, Janelle.
Thank you. So that's where you get your project updates at livablestreets.org. Someone asked, what is the council file number for this? Not sure if we have that readily available. If not, we will post some of the questions that we cannot answer today will be posted on the LADOT livablestreets.org website. To clarify, is this project fully funded, and can we rest assured that the funding shortfalls cannot possibly stop this project?
Carlos can take it.
Thank you, Janelle. Thank you for that question. Yeah, one of the challenges that we had for this project from the inception is the funding gap. But over the years, through the support of Councilman Koretz's office, and more explicitly Jay, we've been able to chop away at that funding gap, and we're at a good position now. So we are at this point fully funded. But the only cautionary tale I take is, we are dependent on the city engineer's estimates, and should the bids come in, higher than expected, then we may have to resolve potential additional budgetary constraints. But at this particular time and moment, based on the latest city engineer's estimates that we have, we can comfortably say that we are fully funded for this project.
Thank you, Carlos. Will the path be lighted?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Walla Vista Road is a dead-end street with limited parking. How will you mitigate this so people driving to the bicycle path won't commandeer the parking spaces on the street from the residents?
Carlos?
Yes, thank you for that question. Yeah, in order, again, at the previous community meetings, we garnered support and input on access points, and one of the access points that was identified was Walla Vista. We are mindful that that is a residential area, and there always could be a propensity for non-residents to basically park to access the facility. But we do have some tools that DOT can explore if that does become an issue. We can do time limited parking. We can create possibly a restricted parking area just for the residents, preferential parking, I believe is what it's called. But we are mindful of that situation, but we also need to note that any restrictive measures that we put up via signage, we cannot apply it to only non-residents in the area. So one tool that we can use again is time limited parking. But if we implement that measure, it would have an impact not only on the outside users, but the residents itself. But you do have our commitment that we will monitor, we'll continue to work with the community and monitor Walla Vista to ensure that this doesn't happen. And if it does, then we will work with the community through the council office to come up with alternatives on how to address it.
Thank you. Thank you, Carlos. Can you confirm that the path will be open 24/7? And kind of related to this regarding homeless safety issues, we have been previously told that there will be no security and LAPD has no jurisdiction to monitor. Can you really explain how you will monitor as you stated?
I think Carlos has answered that questions. And
I can clarify. Thank you for that question again. And
Okay.
once the facility is constructed, it will go on to our traditional maintenance services. We have a contractor that maintains all of our bicycle facilities. They go out there twice a week, and they one of their tasks is on top of maintenance and cleanup is to report any activities to the department or to LAPD. We will be working hand in hand with LAPD to again try to address those issues as they come up. But we do have regular maintenance activities, and we are alerted of any homeless issues or any other issues on a regular basis. So we will monitor it through that channel. So it's not like we're not going to be out there proactively. We will be out there through our contractor at least twice a week.
Thank you. I think that's it for our Q&A portion. If you have any additional questions, and also if your questions, if you did not receive your answer to your questions today, I believe the Q&A portion will be posted in the LADOT livablestreets.org as well. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for the panel. Back to you, Sam.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much, Janelle. Thank you for hosting the question answers. And thank you everybody who stick around and asked questions. We appreciate you so much. And LADOT is always in support of our communities. So thank you very much and have a good evening.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.